For anyone who's ever faced that horrible moment of a ransomware attack, or maybe spends their nights just planning for it, the fear isn't just the log files, is it?
No, not at all. It's that awful question right after, okay, how do we really recover from that?
Exactly. It's this digital emergency. It can just cripple an organization and forces these impossible decisions under, well, immense pressure.
Yeah.
Today, we're doing a deep dive. We want to cut through some of that noise around best practices for recovery from sleeper malware and ransomware. Our mission, really, is to give you a shortcut, a way to get genuinely well-informed on what happens when these insidious attacks actually hit.
And how organizations fight back, the decisions they have to make to get things running again.
Yeah, those critical, nuanced decisions.
And we've pulled together a pretty serious stack of sources for this. We're looking at insights from a really lively Reddit sysadmin thread, which is always interesting.
Oh yeah, those can be gold mines.
Definitely. Plus official guidance from big names like CISO and the UK's National Cybersecurity Center.
Okay. Solid official sources.
And expert articles, too. Microsoft Security, Alvaca Networks, Cloudian, PMC, Recorded Future, Sentinel, Palo Alto Networks. It's a broad look.
So from the trenches to the strategists.
Exactly. Trying to get every angle, to arm you with practical knowledge.
Okay, let's dive in. When an organization gets slammed by ransomware, that immediate kind of gut-wrenching question is, do you nuke and pave?
Right.
Just wipe everything, rebuild from scratch? Or do you try to recover your existing systems, which you have to assume are compromised?
It's a huge debate, isn't it? Sounds simple, maybe, on paper.
But it's not.
No way. For the folks actually in the trenches, it's incredibly complex.
Yeah.
And that Reddit thread we mentioned, it really shows the passion on both sides.
So what's the argument for just wiping everything, the nuke and pave camp?
Well, some sysadmins are really vocal about it. They basically say rebuild everything. Servers, Active Directory, Exchange, firewalls, the lot.
Everything.
Yeah. Their argument comes down to trust. Or lack of it. They argue that after a successful attack, you just cannot trust any internal resource. Period.
It's like trying to clean malware off a machine versus just wiping it clean, right? That old vague.
Exactly that analogy. They say cleaning often leads to recompromise down the line. Someone on the thread even shared this horror story about malware popping back up months after they thought they'd cleaned it.
Oof. Yeah, that's the stuff of nightmares. That definitely fuels the nuke and pave thinking.
Absolutely. But then you hit reality.
Which is?
Well, many seasoned pros, consultants, the people who've actually managed these large-scale recoveries, they argue that for organizations of, say, 200 users up to maybe 50,000 users, a full nuke and pave just isn't practical.
Too big, too slow.
Both. The time impact, the sheer effort involved, it's immense. They argue that restoring something like Active Directory or Exchange onto freshly installed systems is a recovery. It's not a full rebuild from absolutely nothing.
Okay, so it's a nuanced definition of rebuild versus recover.
Right. And sometimes it's the only realistic option. Imagine your vendors saying it'll take weeks just for reinstallations before you even start data recovery. Restoring from a known clean backup onto new or wiped hardware. That becomes your only path forward sometimes.
So the real problem, the really tricky part, isn't always just finding the malware executable file, is it? Because EDR tools, endpoint detection and response, they're pretty good at that these days.
They are, yeah. They catch a lot of the standard stuff. The real challenge is human-operated attacks.
Living off the land, as they call it.
Exactly. These attackers aren't just dropping a simple virus. They're using legitimate admin tools. And they PowerShell, WMI, stuff your own team uses every day.
So they blend in.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
They establish persistent access using compromised accounts, maybe even leveraging your own legitimate MDM or EDR tools against you.
Which means even if you restore a system from a backup,
it still needs a deep forensic audit. You have to hunt for hidden backdoors, persistent access mechanisms they might have left behind. Understanding the full scope, how far they got in, that's critical.
And that sounds like where having the right tools is essential.
Absolutely. You need comprehensive detection and response capabilities. Resources like the ones you find at www.incidentresponse.tools, they often list the kinds of specialized tools needed for that deep forensic investigation, mapping out the whole intrusion.
Okay. Let's talk about another scary aspect. Sleeper malware. This idea that ransomware doesn't always trigger immediately.
Yeah, the silent attack. It can sit dormant, just hiding in your systems for days, weeks, sometimes even months before it activates.
Which completely messes with your backup strategy, right?
It does. Because how far back do you need to go for a truly clean backup? If the malware's been lurking for 3 months and your oldest clean backup is only 2 months old, you've got a huge problem. You're potentially restoring the infection along with your data.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, supply chain attacks seem to be everywhere now.
They're definitely on the rise, yeah. Exploiting those trusted vendor relationships. One single compromise in a widely used piece of software or a service provider.
And it cascades.
It cascades across potentially hundreds, even thousands of organizations. We saw that with SolarWinds, and more recently, the Movit transfer compromise. That hit over 620 organizations we know of. It's like a digital pandemic.
So how are they getting that initial foothold? Is it still the usual suspects?
Largely, yes. Phishing is still massive, costs billions. Exploiting unpatched, outdated software, that's the real low-hanging fruit for attackers.
Basic cyber hygiene still tripping people up.
Constantly. And stolen credentials, of course.
Oh.
But what's really insidious is modifying software during development, injecting malicious code before it even gets deployed. Super hard to spot.
And you mentioned service providers. Managed service providers, MSPs, they seem like prime targets.
They really are, because think about it. Compromise one MSP, and you potentially get access to all their clients. It's leveraged access.
Maximum impact for the attacker.
Exactly. And then there's the extortion tactics getting more complex. It's not just pay us to decrypt. Now it's double, even triple extortion. They encrypt your data, and they steal sensitive information, threatening to leak it publicly if you don't pay.
Okay, double extortion. What's triple?
Then they go after your customers or partners directly, saying, hey, pay us, or we'll release the data your vendor lost. It puts incredible pressure on the original victim.
Wow. So, facing all that, how do you even start to defend against something so interconnected, especially when they might already be inside using your own tools?
It really forces you into a proactive stance. You can't just wait for the bang. It means rigorous vendor security assessments, really vetting who you connect your systems to.
Due diligence on steroids?
Pretty much. Investing in advanced threat detection and response capabilities, things that look for anomalous behavior, not just known malware signatures. And constant ongoing employee training. Phishing, social engineering. The human element is still so often the weak link.
It's an arms race, isn't it?
It truly is. You have to keep upgrading your defenses, your tools, and critically, your people's awareness.
Okay, so assuming you're doing all that proactive work, how do organizations formalize their reaction plan? That's where the incident response playbook comes in, I guess.
Absolutely. When an attack hits, chaos is almost guaranteed. A playbook is your roadmap through that chaos. It's a step-by-step guide.
Not just a document sitting on a shelf.
Hopefully not. It should guide how you mitigate, detect, respond, and ultimately recover. It's about being prepared to act decisively, limit the damage, get back to normal ops quickly, and, importantly, learn lessons to reduce future risk.
And it's not just an IT thing, right? Who needs to be involved in building this playbook?
Oh, definitely not just IT. You need security and risk management, obviously.
Yeah.
Finance needs to be in the loop, especially discussing ransom payment possibilities, even though it's generally discouraged.
Legal, too, I assume.
Absolutely. Legal counsel is critical for dealing with law enforcement, understanding compliance obligations. Procurement might be involved regarding cyber insurance. And communications for managing the message both internally and externally. It's a whole team effort.
Makes sense. Are there standard frameworks people use?
Yeah, many playbooks follow established frameworks like the one from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. It usually involves phases like preparation, detection analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, and then post-incident activities.
Structure in the chaos.
That's the goal. And one of our sources, PMC, drawing from healthcare ransomware experiences, adds something interesting. They emphasize what they call Phase 0.
Phase 0, before preparation.
Kind of. It's about continuous readiness, a constant state of preparedness. It means adopting this mindset that your IT infrastructure, your users, they're always vulnerable to some extent. Risks can be managed, but maybe not completely eliminated.
So what does Phase 0 look like in practice?
It involves practical, sometimes even low-tech steps. Things like having daily printouts of critical information like patient orders in a hospital as a fallback. Regularly investigating your daily backups, not just running them, but checking them. Creating cross-functional task forces before an incident. Establishing an incident command center structure, often using models like FEMA's ICS or NIMS, so everyone knows their role in a crisis.
That continuous readiness, that Phase 0 idea, feels really crucial. You can't just dust off the plan when the fire alarm goes off.
Exactly. You need to live it. And assessing where you stand before a crisis hits is key. using something like an incident response maturity assessment. I know there are services like www.eramaturity.assessment.com that offer frameworks for this. It helps you find the gaps.
Find the gaps before the attackers do.
Precisely. And part of that readiness is documentation. Full recovery procedures, meticulously documented, updated regularly, maybe semi-annually, or after any real incident or major system change.
But just having the document isn't enough, right?
Not even close. You have to practice. Tabletop simulations, dry runs.
Yeah.
They're crucial. Get the key stakeholders in a room, throw scenarios at them, make sure they know their roles, how decisions get made under pressure.
Find out where the plan breaks down in theory, not in reality.
Exactly. You want to find those weaknesses before the real thing. Trust me, a live drill exposes gaps you never thought of.
Okay, so the attack hits, that moment of detection. What are the absolute first steps? How do you even know?
Well, detection can come in a few ways. The obvious one is the ransomware message itself. Or maybe users report files they can't open. Sometimes it's seeing large-scale data modifications or weird network activity your monitoring tools pick up.
And once you suspect it,
isolate. Immediately. HESI guidance is clear. Isolate the impacted systems. That could mean literally pulling network cables.
Wow, physical disconnection.
Or taking network segments offline at the switch level. You have to stop the spread and prioritize isolating your most critical systems first.
What about communication? If your network is compromised?
Good point. Use out-of-band communication. Secure messaging apps, personal phones, whatever is off the potentially monitored corporate network, you don't want to tip off the attackers that you're onto them.
And powering down systems. Good idea or bad idea?
It's usually a last resort, because powering down can wipe out volatile memory, RAM, which often contains crucial forensic evidence about how the attackers got in and what they did.
So containment first, but preserve evidence if possible.
Right. Contain the damage, but don't destroy clues before you understand the full picture.
Okay, systems are isolated. What's next? Containment and eradication.
Yes, but here's a key point people often miss in the panic.
No.
Don't rush eradication.
Don't rush cleaning up. Why not?
Because you need to understand the full scope first. How did they get in? What systems did they touch? Are there back doors? If you start cleaning too soon, you might miss something, leave a way back in for them.
Okay, so investigate thoroughly first.
Understand the breach. Then you move to eradication. That means reinstalling affected systems from known clean images or backups, deleting the malicious files, figuring out that initial entry point, and crucially, resetting all affected passwords, and possibly all passwords, depending on the scope.
And this is another area where having the right tools seems vital. You can't just run a standard antivirus scan and call it a day.
Definitely not. Proper detection, deep analysis, thorough eradication. These often require specialized incident response tools. Again, platforms like www.incidentresponse.tools often compile lists or provide access to the kind of capabilities needed to really dig deep and clean effectively. You need to be sure you got everything.
Got it. So, scope understood, eradication done, now recovery.
Not recovery. Reconnecting cleaned or new systems. Restoring data from those offline. Confirmed, uncompromised backups.
And you mentioned checking the backups themselves.
Absolutely critical. Scan your backups for malware before you restore them. It sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised. Dormant malware can absolutely hide in backups. Restoring it is the last thing you want.
So restoring could reinfect you if you're not careful.
Exactly. For major attacks, sometimes organizations even build a completely new parallel network environment to restore into, keeping the old one offline until they're certain.
And if you need a decryption key, is paying the only option?
Not necessarily, and generally discouraged anyway. Check resources like the No More Ransom Project first. Law enforcement or security researchers sometimes have keys for known ransomware variants. Worth a shot, though no guarantees.
Okay. Then there's the really long tail you mentioned, reconciliation.
Yeah, this is often the hidden iceberg of recovery. So especially in sectors like healthcare. Think about all the paper records generated during downtime.
They all need to be digitized again.
Right. Reports might need to be redictated, and you have to meticulously reconcile the new data captured during the outage with the old data restored from backup. Patient data, images, maybe stuff brought in on CDs or DVDs.
Which also needs scanning, I guess.
You bet. Scan everything before reintroducing it. This reconciliation process, it's not days or weeks. It can take months. It shows the impact goes way beyond just getting the servers back online.
It really underscores the value of getting the initial response and backup strategy right, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Which brings us back to your safest bet, those robust backup strategies. The golden rule is restore from backup, but the devil's in the details.
Making sure those backups are actually usable and clean when you desperately need them.
Exactly. It's easy to say backup, much harder to do it flawlessly under pressure.
So what makes a backup strategy truly robust in this context?
Several key practices. First, immutable backups. Huge. Data, once written, cannot be changed or deleted until a set time expires. Ransomware simply can't encrypt it.
Okay, so immutability is key. What else?
Off-site or offline copies. You need at least one copy, physically disconnected or in a separate location, or ideally both.
Tape backups.
Still a surprisingly strong defense for that offline aspect, the air gap.
Makes sense. Physically separate.
And separate accounts. Don't use the same login credentials for your live environment and your backups. That's just asking for trouble. Use multi-factor authentication everywhere, especially on backup systems.
Right. What about how long to keep backups? Retention.
That varies. Recommendations range from, say, 30, 60 days minimum, but some argue for much longer, maybe up to a year. Depends on your business, regulations, but also on how long attackers typically dwell undetected. If they hide for months, your backups need to go back further than that.
And testing. We mentioned testing.
Cannot emphasize it enough. Test, test, test. Regularly perform actual restores. Does it work? How long does it take? Test against your recovery point objective, your RPO. How much data can you afford to lose? And your recovery time objective, RTO. How fast do you need to be back online?
Don't just assume the backups are good. Prove it.
Exactly. Also, think about backing up data separately from the operating system. Your AD database, Exchange data, application configs, back those up independently. And use data versioning, keeping multiple historical copies.
So it's layered. It's not just one backup file.
Right. Now, things like Windows System Restore or file versions, they might help for maybe a personal machine with minor issues. Some dedicated data recovery software exists too. But honestly, for a serious organizational ransomware attack, these are usually way less reliable than a well-designed, isolated, tested backup strategy.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. The technical recovery is one massive headache, but there's a whole other dimension, the legal labyrinth.
Oh, yeah. Compliance, consequences.
Yeah.
It's huge. Recovering isn't just a tech problem anymore. It's a major legal imperative.
Because of data protection laws.
Exactly. Things like GDPR in Europe, CCPA in California, and others. Businesses face serious fines, serious penalties for non-compliance if personal data is breached, and significant liability for just failing to secure it properly in the first place.
The technical fix is only part of it.
Only part. And the clock is ticking legally, too.
How so?
Many regulations have really strict timelines for reporting a data breach once you discover it. Often it's just 72 hours.
72 hours? That's incredibly fast when you're still trying to figure out what even happened.
It is. Missing those deadlines just adds more problems, extra penalties, more scrutiny. The legal clock starts the moment, or reasonably should have known about the breach.
And then there's the big agonizing question. To pay the ransom or not?
Yeah. Generally, the advice from law enforcement cybersecurity experts is don't pay.
Why not? Apart from the cost.
Well, first, you're funding criminal enterprises. Second, there's absolutely no guarantee you'll get your data back, or that the decryption key will even work properly.
Or that they won't just hit you again later.
Exactly. They know you're willing to pay. Plus, in some cases, paying certain attacker groups might actually be illegal due to sanctions. You could go from victim to violating the law yourself.
Wow. Okay, so paying is generally a bad idea, legally and practically. What about involving law enforcement?
Definitely recommended. Report the incident to the authorities, CISA, FBI, Secret Service, your local equivalents. They have resources, intelligence on attacker groups. Sometimes they even have decryption keys from previous investigations. They're a crucial partner.
And beyond the direct legal penalties, there's reputation, right?
Huge. Non-compliance, or even just handling the crisis poorly, can lead to a massive loss of customer trust, damage to your brand's reputation. That can be much harder to recover from than the technical or financial hit.
That communication piece seems critical then. Managing expectations, being transparent.
It really is. And that's where specialized services can come in, maybe like the ones offered by notification.breach.company. Managing those breach notifications effectively, maintaining transparency with customers and regulators, it's a specialized skill during a crisis.
So the takeaway here is that IT and legal absolutely have to work hand in hand from the very beginning.
Joined at the hip.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire process. To make sure the recovery is not just fast, but also legally sound and defensible, it has to be a partnership.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground. Let's try to synthesize this. What does it all mean when we boil it down?
Well, I think it means recovering from ransomware is just incredibly complex. There's no single magic bullet. It's this dynamic dance, between rebuilding versus recovering systems.
Preparing for those hidden, dormant threats, not just the immediate bang.
Right. Leveraging truly robust, tested, immutable backups, following a clear, well-rehearsed incident response playbook, and carefully navigating that whole minefield of legal and compliance obligations.
It really sounds like it comes down to people, processes, and technology all working together, perfectly synchronized, under maybe the worst pressure imaginable.
That's a good way to put it. Harmony under pressure.
So here's a thought to leave everyone with. We talked about attackers living off the land using legitimate tools. We talked about human-driven campaigns, not just automated malware. In that world, how might the traditional lines we draw between a system being attacked versus just being infected, how might those lines blur even further? Could it challenge our very definition of what a truly clean system even is?
That's a deep question. If the tools of compromise are the legitimate tools already there, what does clean even mean anymore? It definitely complicates things.
Something to ponder. So hopefully this deep dive has armed you with some critical knowledge. Take a moment, think about your own situation, your personal digital life, or your organization.
Yeah, ask those hard questions. Are your backups really immutable? Are they isolated? Is your incident response plan just a document, or is it a living process you actually test?
Because as we've seen today, in the face of modern ransomware, preparation isn't just, a best practice. It's really about survival.